blocked by James! LeBron James with the rejection! Portland has 3 timeouts left. The Lakers have 2. Bryant to shot! A chance to send the Thunder home. Lillard, long-range 3.
What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? Happy Wednesday night. Happy NBA Finals Eve. It is 48 minutes. We are here not talking about the Boston Celtics and the NBA championship. Thank goodness. But
we're not going to talk about Game 8.
don't let them win Game 8. Don't let them win Game 8. But we are going to be talking a little bit about, the Miami Heat and the Denver Nuggets, because that is our NBA Finals matchup. I am Tim Daniel. I am here with Parker Fields and Josh Hayes. What's up, gentlemen? How are we tonight?
What's going on?
Ready to talk some playoffs, man. NBA Finals.
What a fun postseason we had, man. It was like, 16 was obviously like incredibly fun. This is up there with me. Up there with 16 for me.
I'm with you. This was, 16 though, to be honest with you. The East was just a shit show. Like, it was just LeBron running through that conference. So, like, the Eastern Conference wasn't great. Obviously, the Western Conference playoffs was much better. So, honestly, like, pre-finals, I think this is more of a, like, balanced and competitive playoffs outside that Western Conference finals. But even those games were super competitive. It was just the Nuggets won every game. But
yeah, you can't always look at what the final series numbers are, because sometimes it doesn't dictate how the games were played.
Yeah, because all those games were down to the wire in the final minute of the game. They just lost every game is what happened, but they were all really close throughout.
Yeah, it was I think we definitely did get the right 2 teams as far as who's representing who. And I know that's wild to say, considering the Miami Heat were the 8th seed in the East and we're this close to getting knocked out in the play-in. But I do think that, they earned where they're at, the way they played through the postseason, the way that, like, they overcame so much stuff. You know what I mean? So, like, you lose to Atlanta and it's like, I have to win this game against the Bulls or my season's done. Oh shit, there are 3 minutes left and we are losing. We have to figure out a way to pull this off. And Jimmy Butler does. You go to Milwaukee. I know Giannis gets hurt and you're like, all right, well, they got game 1. And then Giannis comes back and they're up 2-1 and the Bucks have that big lead in game 4. And then Butler goes crazy in the fourth quarter, gets a triple-double. They win that. They go on to win the series. The Knicks series, I kind of always felt like they were going to win. It wasn't like this, like, oh man, like I liked what the Knicks, I liked that Knicks team. I just felt like the Heat were just going to show they were tougher, and they were. And then the Celtics series, we know, up 3-0, come back to tie it at 3-3. And then Caleb Martin is unbelievable and eliminates the Celtics. Do you guys think they picked the right person for Eastern Conference Finals MVP? Because it was 5-4 Butler to Martin in voting, but I think you could have really gone either way between those.
I'll say this. Do I think Jimmy Butler was the best player on the Heat throughout the series? Yes. Who do I think was more valuable to them winning that series? Yeah, Caleb Martin, because he was like, they don't have a second option really without Hero in there, because Bam, he's great, but he's not a scorer. Like, you're not going to throw the ball on the block to Bam to go to work. And Martin stepping up definitely is the reason they won that series. So value-wise, yeah, I would have given it to Caleb Martin.
It could have went either way.
Yeah,
I'm with you. I don't care. I think it was.
I definitely say if you were just picking off a game 7 alone, it's Caleb Martin all day long.
Yeah. It's almost like the 2009 finals when Kobe got finals MVP, but Ron Artest was so good in game 6 and game 7.
Mm-hmm.
Where you're like, yeah, should Ron Artest really have won finals? Because Ron Artest won game 7.
I'm sure we're going to get into this, Tim, but I want to tackle this like right away, because I saw a bunch of stuff today about like how Denver's got this easy path to the finals because they played a a 7 seed in the Lakers and they played the 4 seed and the 8 seed. I was like, well, protocol says if you're the number 1 seed in the West, the first round you play the 8 seed.
Right.
And then if you win, potentially the best seed that you could possibly play is the 4 seed, right? And then the goal is to play the 1 versus 2 in the finals, but the Lakers just happen to be really good in the playoffs, knocking out the 2 seed.
Exactly.
And then beating Golden State. But now it's everybody's on this. Well, they're in the finals playing an 8 seed, like it's unfair. And I don't think people realize that the same exact almost Miami team last year was in Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Down 2 with like 16 seconds left. And Jimmy Butler almost made a 3 to go up 1. And we're talking Warriors Heat in the finals last year versus Warriors Celtics. And so like it was almost like they underachieved being in the playing game versus Miami's an 8 seed. Like I don't buy the whole 8 seed thing, especially
I don't either.
They were last year. And I think about after that first playoff win that they had against the Bucks, we all were on here talking about how we felt like Miami was playing possum. And I still think Miami's probably one of the 4 or 5 best teams in the East, even though they were the 8 seed. So, like, I'm not really buying this whole, like, Denver's playing an 8 seed in the finals. I think that the NBA was more competitive and equally balanced out this year than it probably has been in a really long time. And there was a lot of teams that had a chance that could have potentially played in the finals. Like, it wouldn't have shocked me if Denver would have lost to somebody and somebody else would have made it in. I just think that people are looking at that number 8 and they're saying, oh, man, this is the only second 8. Miami's not an 8 seed. I don't care what you say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that Knicks 8 seed is very, very questionable, as you know, because it was basically a half season.
And they were only like, 4 or 5 games out of the 1 seed or something. The seeding was just like all mushed up. I know I wasn't alive, but I know basketball before I was born still. I've watched a lot of stuff. But.
Yeah. The New York Knicks led by at point guard by Heisman Trophy winner Charlie Ward. Is that
Charlie
like
Ward,
the weirdest?
Sprewell,
Grandmama
Houston.
That was like Larry Johnson's last good year.
Ewing's too, I feel like.
Oh man, I feel like anytime you see the Seattle Supersonics Patrick Ewing jersey, you're like, that's so weird. The Magic one's weird too, but the Seattle one is super weird.
Hakeem on the Raptors.
That's the weirdest of all time. That's definitely just the weirdest. Like, yeah, that's, you know.
I wanted to ask you guys thoughts on something. So did you guys see like how the new CBA is pretty much going to be set up with like how they're going to be able to afford people pretty much? The NBA is pretty much going with there's going to be no more big threes the way stuff's set up. It's going to be you got 2 guys to pay $50+ million to, and you got to fill in the rest of your roster with like 60 or 70 million bucks. That's pretty much how the new CBA is going to be. And honestly, I like that. It'll make the NBA more balanced how it is right now, like where it's just going to be like you got dynamic duos across the board. So you got a bunch of really solid teams and you don't got any too overpowered teams or anything like that.
Yeah, I think it definitely makes the draft more important. You know, you look at a team like Denver, who's in the finals right now. Their 2 best players are guys they drafted, guys that they developed, guys that they brought up. So I think those teams are going to get rewarded a lot more.
It kind of screws over a team like the Thunder because they're not going to be able to pay all those guys the way it is. All those guys are going to want maxes. Giddey, J-Dub, Shea, and who am I blanking on?
I think Shea's on a max now.
Yeah, but who else? Oh, and Chet.
Yeah, and then whoever they get this year.
And Lou Dort, he still commands probably 20, 25 mil, the way type of player he is on the market.
True.
So with the new CBA, and it goes through, like, how would that affected a team like the Warriors?
Right.
I don't think they would have been able to, keep them together.
So basically what you're saying is if guys aren't willing to take pay cuts and build through the team, like, we're never going to see a dynasty probably ever again if it's one of those things where you can't keep teams together. Because you know how hard it is to just put a team together in a season and win. I mean, even the Lakers built their season at the trade deadline and made a good run at it.
Yeah.
And they made a good run at it, but they fell short.
Yeah. It does. It certainly is. Yeah, like the Warriors, obviously, that's kind of like the prime with the Jordan Poole contract, which they're probably like, damn it, couldn't the CBF come out a year earlier with that contract we gave that guy and how he played in the playoffs?
I
But
still don't know how Wiggins got a smaller contract than Jordan Poole.
I know,
I still don't understand that. But
because like Wiggins was really, really good in the finals last year against Boston.
I
Was
think he
really good.
he hadn't played basketball in 3 months. I think that was, and it's not like he was horrible in the playoffs, but I think that was why he wasn't as good. He just hadn't played basketball.
Yeah,
all
I
year.
agree. Yeah, I certainly agree. I think you can make that case. Yeah, I like it. I think it'll be a good for the league. It'll make it a little more balanced, like you said, Parker. If you draft like the Warriors, where like they had that run where every draft hit, where every pick hit, and the Curry through Draymond run, then yeah, it's probably not going to be great. But if you have a situation like Denver, where you
Two
hit
of
on
them
you hit three guys, right? If you count Michael Porter,
Yeah.
and you're like, all right, cool. Well, we can build around this. That's not a problem. I think it'll make it a little harder for like a Lakers situation, right? Where it's like we've got LeBron and Davis. That'll make it a little more interesting. But if you're a team like Cleveland, you probably feel pretty good about it.
Yeah. Does it kick in next offseason, I want to say?
I think 24, yeah, 24
Okay.
off season.
So it won't affect this year's free agency. I was thinking about like this, like the Suns last year, no way in hell they matched DeAndre Ayton's contract with the
Right.
new CBA. Because you pretty much have like your top two guys or whatever, and then outside of that, for the rest of your roster. So like there's no way in hell they were gonna sign DeAndre Ayton for, I don't even know what his contract is. It's a lot of money.
I think right now they wish they didn't.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. By the way, it's with you saying that, I just want to say real quick. I know he had a god terrible game 7, but all this like Jaylen Brown sucks conversation right now is very silly. It's very, very silly. If the Celtics really put Jaylen Brown on the market tomorrow and we're like, hey, we're listening to offers, I bet you 22 teams call to say like, what's it going to take?
I saw a mock today where it was straight up trade for Jaylen Brown for Dame Lillard.
If I'm the Celtics, I wouldn't do that. Jaylen Brown's 7 years younger or whatever. I wouldn't do that personally.
I heard same two teams, Jaylen Brown for the 3rd pick, so the Celtics could get Scoot.
And Simons, yeah, I've seen that.
That
would
intrigues
be
me.
That would be much more worth it.
That intrigues me.
Yeah. I still wouldn't do that though, because you're trying to win now. Like if you're going to keep your core intact, I just don't understand how moving on from Brown for Simons and Henderson in the immediate future helps. And I just feel like you have two of the top 15 to 20 players in the league, like Brown's in that 15 to 20 range.
Yeah,
I'd
both
say.
guys were all NBA.
And they're both 6'8" plus wings. Like, I just don't think you break that up. And they're both 25 and 26, I think is how old they are. So I just don't think you break that up.
I don't think they will. But I know, like I'm not really upset that with Jaylen Brown for having a bad offensive game because, like, it's basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Where I'm disappointed in Jaylen Brown is, remember when we used to count on him as like this really good two-way player that could just really defend anybody? You felt really comfortable if he was in isolation. He basically quit playing defense, just completely, just like either he lost the ability or he just stopped doing it. It's one or the other.
I don't think you lose the ability to play defense.
Right.
When you're still at the peak of your athleticism. Yeah, now when you get older, yeah, but when you're at the peak of your athleticism, I don't think that's a thing. So it's definitely the latter. With Brown, the one like thing he struggles with so badly, and you saw it on full display in that game, is he can't dribble.
Yeah.
That's the problem with his game. He is handled. It's so erratic, and like you watch him and Marcus Smart just like make dumbass turnover after dumbass turnover, and they're not even like forced. Like it'll just be like dribbling on off their foot, like stuff like that. It's just like, I don't know. And you needed him to step up, obviously, the other night because Tatum was hurt, and that was obvious. You could tell from after that first play, Tatum just wasn't himself at all.
Yeah. I talked to somebody about that, somebody in the league about that, where they were like, if Tatum doesn't get hurt, do the Celtics win? I was like, I don't know, man. They lost by like 26. He's like, yeah, but Tatum is their heart and soul. Tatum is what they built their whole team around. You count on Jason Tatum. They're like, if you have think about it this way, if Jimmy Butler gets hurt on the first play on that same possession to the Heat win, and I was like, that's a good point.
Yeah,
That's a good
I don't
point.
know.
That's a good point.
I just don't like playing the what if game. Like if
I don't either.
Because if they're out of the game, yes. But like if you're able to play, like obviously LeBron was not healthy during that. Like he was sluggish as hell and slow as hell. Like it was obvious. But he's playing, so there's no excuse about it, in my opinion. And the same thing with Tatum. If you're able to play, then like I just don't like playing the what if. I'll play it if they just didn't play whatsoever. But like if you're on the court out there, then you're not hurt. Like obviously you're less of yourself, but I don't know. I just don't like playing that.
Yeah, I get that. I totally get that. All right, let's talk about the finals, guys, because we're here. And this is great. Like we said, what a fun media will say Cinderella run for the Miami Heat. I'm sure that they hate that term because they don't like any of the pretty boy stuff. And they're going to look at it as like, we were just tougher than everyone. And they probably were, they probably were tougher than everyone. But this is like, so, if you read anything, it's, Denver's going to wipe the floor with them. Denver's just going to destroy them. Denver's going to kick their ass. And Denver's definitely the better team. I'm not trying to downplay that. But I feel like it'd be really silly to just say once again, well, the Heat have no shot. And look, game one, they're 9.5 underdogs. They don't care. They do not give a shit. You could call them 20-point dogs. They're going to go out there and they're going to play and they're going to try to find their best way to win. This is, but like I said, Denver is obviously great. And we're going to talk about both sides of it. But what's the one thing that jumps out to you the most when you look at how these two teams match up in this series?
For me, it's how fluid Denver's offense is versus how stagnant Miami's offense is.
Yeah.
And I know Miami is a defensive-minded team, but Denver is so good at moving the ball around and just finding the open guy, and they knock down shots, man. They knock down shots. They got, 4 guys that shoot over 40% from three-point range. And I was going to touch into this earlier because obviously these two teams played already in the season. They played 2 games. They played a home and home. And when you look at the games, they were both really close. I think the first game, Denver won 124-119. And in that game kind of ended the same way how the Lakers series went, where Denver was struggling a little bit. And then Jamal Murray just had like this flurry of, I think he went on like 7 straight points with like less than 2 minutes in the game to kind of put Denver up and give them the win. And then Joker had a triple-double in the game. But the difference is in that game is that guys like Tyler Hero played. And Struss was a big part of that. But the second game they played, the trade happened. So like there were guys on Denver's team that they didn't have before, like Bruce Brown. And that game was actually a little closer. And if I do recall, I remember at the end of that game, Jimmy Butler caught a ball underneath the basket and missed like a point blank bunny. Like he could have dunked it, but he tried to lay it in and it like laid up on the rim and fell down, and Denver got the rebound and went down and shot some free throws and won 112-108. So both games were really competitive and real close. So it makes me feel like the series is going to be competitive and close just like that.
Yeah, I agree with you. And the thing that jumps out to me on why I think the Heat can be more competitive and win a couple games like the Lakers didn't is because I think the Heat have the luxury of being able to throw more bodies at Jamal Murray. Like the Lakers just physically couldn't play Jared Vanderbilt in that series, even though he could have been a great defender on Murray because of his offense. And I think the Heat, they're guys they can throw at them. Caleb Martin, great defender, great offensive player as well. And then when it gets into crunch time, you can throw Jimmy on him because I don't think they're going to have Jimmy play defense on him for 48 minutes, but I do think they're going to throw Jimmy on him in the last 6 minutes of the game. And I think they just have that luxury where they can throw more size at him, and they're not going to have Dennis Schroeder on Jamal Murray like the Lakers did. And Schroeder's a great defender. Plays his ass off, but he just didn't have the size. And what Murray struggles with is size and physicality. And I mean, even Kyle Lowry for some minutes, like that dude plays hard as shit. Like his flopping annoys me, but I mean, that guy is one of the hardest competitors you'll see in the NBA. Like he plays his ass off every play, and he's almost 40 years old out there diving for every loose ball.
I don't know how much playing time the guy will get. I don't really know. He seems to be right around Murray's height. But Tim, you sent a text the other night when they were playing about Highsmith. I don't know if he's probably another guy. Like if he gets some clock, they'll probably throw at him as well too. Because it seemed like the minutes that he put in the game, like he was all over the place.
Yeah, he's definitely a high effort dude for sure. Not, you're not counting on him to make buckets. Hopefully not, because then you're in a lot of trouble if you are. But man, I love his defensive effort. Absolutely love it. And just another typical Miami Heat find this guy that no one knows about, and they bring him in. I guess he had like 10 games with the Sixers and 18, like a few years ago, maybe 21 a year.
Never even played a minute of Division I college basketball. He's D2 player too.
Yeah.
I don't know where the hell they find these guys, but
yeah, I looked. He's actually the only player from his college to ever play the NBA.
Yeah.
So he's a good player, but you got to give him credit. Tyler Hero, I know they said has resumed basketball activities. Have they full on declared him out yet for the series?
No, they think he's going to play game 3 is what they're saying.
Ooh, in Miami, get the crowd going.
But my question is, if they're down 2-0 going there, yeah, he'll play. But if it's 1-1, or do you screw that up? Or 0-2, they have a 2-0 lead? Like, I don't know if you do, unless like you start getting down and you need an offensive spark. But like if Duncan Robinson and Strus and Vincent and Lowry have it rolling, like I don't know if you mess with that in the NBA Finals. I don't know if you do.
Most coaches, I agree with you. Spo is just a different animal. I think Spo would know the buttons to press to make that work. You know what I mean? There's just something about the way he executes and his X's and O's and his intelligence that, and this isn't a knock on Mike Malone. Mike Malone.
But what I'm saying is if they're up 2-0, I don't think you play Tyler Hero. Like if you're flowing that well,
you're saying so. if the Heat win 2 games
2-0,
in Denver?
Yes, if it's 2-0 going to Miami, I don't think you do that. I just think you're too much in rhythm as a team. I don't think you bring in a guy that's ball dominant too. I love Tyler Hero, but he is ball dominant. I don't think he's going to be cool with, and he can't defend me. Like seriously, like he's not a good defender. I think the way they're playing defense right now and everything, like if you just need a spot up shooter, Duncan Robinson shoots it better just spotting up. So,
well, it's funny that you brought that up, Parker, because in the Boston series, Caleb Martin 49% from 3-point range, Duncan Robinson 49% from 3-point range, and Vincent 52% from 3-point range in the series.
7 games.
So, like, do you mess with that? Because you got guys that are in rhythm knocking shots down. And we've said all year, like, can't believe that Miami paid Duncan Robinson that contract. And then you bring him in crunch time and he delivers.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can say that again.
He was one of those, like, guys with a bad contract, though, that, like, it didn't feel like his time as an NBA really solid player was over, if that makes sense. Like, it was like, if he's in a different, like Duncan Robinson can play, like he just isn't a good defender straight up, but like the dude can shoot the lights out. There's a spot for him. It's not like a Fournier where it's like, yeah, this guy needs to be in Spain next year. He does not need to be playing in the NBA anymore.
Yeah, it's, I see what you're saying. I really do. I just have a hard time believing if Tyler Hero wasn't healthy that the Heat wouldn't use him. In a game like this, where you're going to have to probably match buckets with the Nuggets in some circumstances, I think they're going to get as many bucket getters as they can get.
You really think, though, if they're up 2-0, like, and say game 3's like going well too early, like, you think they're going to do? I just don't see that. I'm going to be honest. I really don't see that. Because, like, that means Duncan Robinson's minutes are going to get diminished big time. And same thing with either Vincent or Strus, one of the two. And Highsmith won't even touch the floor if that happened. I
Yeah,
don't
but
know.
can you figure out a way though, if you do get Tyler Hero back in the mix, to give Jimmy some rest? Because
Yeah, that could help.
he's averaging, he's probably right at 40 minutes a game. And once
Yeah.
you hit that 40-minute mark in the playoffs, like you start to get tired real fast.
And the Heat, even in the finals, of all the NBA teams who made the playoffs, are 11th in pace. And this, the Nuggets play very fast.
Yeah.
Play very, very fast. So you're going to have to kind of, you're going to have to balance that out. Like you said, like when you do have Lowry in the game, he's obviously there to kind of get you in your sets in the half court and kind of get the ball rolling and things like that. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
Well, Denver. I'll go ahead, Tim.
No, you're good. I was gonna say, I'll go to I finish yours and I'll go to the next one.
I was just gonna say Denver's also built different. So
They
I
are.
think Miami's going to go with a different type of game plan. Like Kevin Love didn't play. Like he's going to have to play, I think, at some point to try to put some bodies on Jokic. Because Bam can't guard Jokic for,
Who can?
Cody Zeller. I mean, I'm trying to figure out like what they're going to do here.
This might be like the old Shaquille O'Neal days when you just like put a guy in just to take some fouls.
Yeah, it took the Lakers till literally game 4 to realize, oh, wait, Tristan Thompson can still play NBA minutes. He can still play defense and dunk. It took them till game 4. It's like, hopefully the Heat realize earlier on, you got to throw more size at him. And, that's why I think Bam's honestly the most important player in this entire series, because he's going to be asked to defend Jokic, but also initiate a lot of the Heat's offense. So it's like, he's going to be asked of a lot this series.
Yeah, he is. Role players, I think, are going to be really interesting in this series too. Specifically on the Denver side of things, because we know how deep Miami's bench is going to go if Hero's there. We know how deep it's going to go if he's not there.
Yeah.
We talked about I agree. Bam cannot guard Jokic for 48 minutes. It's just not.
He's going to play 45 plus minutes. He's going to play 45 minutes every game, I expect, though.
I really do. Yeah, I really do. Is that a situation where you bring Kevin Love in, like Josh said, and he plays on Aaron Gordon for a few minutes? Is that a situation where you kind of do what Davis did, where he kind of plays free safety almost, where he just attacks when he gets in the paint? So those are going to be really, really interesting. I think, like I said, I really trust Spoelstra to kind of have those dynamics put into their game plan, because I think he knows what to do. And you got to trust him at this point, right? This is his 6th NBA Finals. So as the head coach of the Miami Heat, the only team that's been in the finals more than the Heat in the 2000s are the Lakers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the Warriors have been
Yeah, the Lakers been 7 times. No, 8 times. 8 times, actually.
Well, they say, what is it? Since 2006, the Heat's been there 7 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I'm trying to think in my head now. So 7 times since 2006.
Four of them were the I mean, I'm not going to lie. Spoelstra's 3, or 2 of them are really, really impressive with the Jimmy Butler era. I think that is so much more impressive to say since Jimmy Butler got there, Spoelstra's done this with that much talent. Let's be real. A lot of coaches could have taken that Heat team to the finals.
Maybe, but a lot of people could have made that work.
I mean, they did lose twice.
They did lose twice. I'm just saying,
one
that
time
team,
they got ran out the gym.
Yeah. It's what does this Jimmy Butler run, put him amongst all-time Miami Heat players? So Wade's obviously one, right? He is the heart and soul of the Miami Heat franchise.
LeBron's the 2nd best player on the Heat, I'd say, ever.
Yeah. Two MVPs, 2 NBA championships, 2 finals MVPs.
Then maybe Alonzo Mourning.
I was going to say, would you go Alonzo Mourning 3?
Yeah.
I'm kind of with Parker, though. Clearly LeBron was the better player in Miami.
Right.
But what Jimmy's done is probably more impressive than what LeBron did, only because
absolutely.
LeBron had 2 other guys there with him that are bona fide Hall of Famers.
Yeah, and That's why I'm saying when they talk about like the Spoelstra stuff, I'm like, they should really mention what he's done the last 4 years. Honestly, or even just after LeBron is so much more impressive to me because like that Heat team was stacked. Like seriously, yeah.
True.
LeBron was a different breed then, and then you got Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh with him. So like, they were going to make the finals. I feel like with a lot of coaches.
And like you said, and really the first 2 years they were there. Dwayne Wade was like his normal self. Like
yeah,
that was Flash. He was still Flash.
It was really the last year. It was really the one he fell off. Was 2014 was the last year. Like, okay, D Wade's a little old now.
Yeah, it was basically the infamous 2012 Game 6 Eastern Conference Finals when it was like, oh, okay, I gotcha. This is how this is gonna go, and rightfully so. But yeah, I think and look, I'm not trying to take anything away from Mike Malone. I think Mike Malone's a great coach. I think he got a raw end of a deal in Sacramento. And you're seeing now how good of a coach he is, obviously, because like, yeah, they've got Jokic, yeah, they've got Murray, but like, you knew to get Bruce Brown, who was on a team that was going to the playoffs, also on that side, and did really well for them. Christian Braun, who they drafted, been pretty darn good player for them. Aaron Gordon, who like we all were kind of like, yeah, he's a good dunker, and now he's like a huge role player for them. That was almost an all-star this year. He's the shout out to Orlando Magic, but I think this is going to be a really, really interesting X's and O's and execution matchup between these two because you can make the case these might be the two best as far as like on the floor game plan coaches in the league. Kerr's obviously in that conversation.
I mean, you just like Pop just has no talent right now, so
right.
You just gave it. You can't
what is
talk
Pop?
about Pop.
What is Pop going to look like with Wemby? Yeah.
Yeah, his best player is Keldon Johnson. Shout out Keldon Johnson. But,
Olympic gold medalist Keldon Johnson.
And a Kentucky Wildcat. But I would say they're up there. I think, honestly, he got, like, I don't know. I would agree with that. I think Michael Malone's kind of been annoying throughout the playoffs, in my opinion. Not on basketball-wise, he's just in the media. Like, I'm sorry, Michael Malone. They're gonna talk about LeBron. It's just how the media works. I know.
You coached LeBron for 2 years. You were there
5 years. It was 5 years he was in Cleveland with LeBron.
You knew what to expect. Like,
yeah, it's just it could be annoying, but like, what do you expect? They're not. Jokic is not the biggest media like outlet guy. He doesn't have social media. Like, they're not gonna be constantly talking about your team.
He doesn't have Spring Hill Entertainment. He doesn't have, but like, it is incredible. He's very, very good at basketball.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas I just didn't understand that. Like, I just didn't get that because like Jimmy Butler over there like likes it when nobody talks about him or calls him an underdog and stuff. And Michael Malone for some reason wants to be the front runner. I don't really know why, but hey, more power to him.
Yeah.
So I have this question for you guys. I think I asked this to the guys on the pod one day. If this stands and Denver wins, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So you have Nikola Jokic was picked
31st
in the second round.
During a Taco Bell commercial.
Yep.
Does this put him as the greatest late round draft pick of all time?
So who would have that before him?
He's
better than Draymond,
So you have Draymond, Manu
he already
Ginobili.
Manu's a good one.
I think guys like Connie Hawkins.
We're talking modern draft, right? We're not talking like when they used to have like 7 rounds.
But yeah, I'm just saying in general, like just all time. Like,
I think he already is. Yeah.
Is he the best draft pick of all time in the draft period? Like
value?
Based off of value.
Ooh. That's a great one.
Because there could still be some late first rounders that you could look at that'd be like, man, this dude should.
I mean,
Jimmy Butler was drafted 30th?
30th.
Yeah, but I'd still rather have the 3rd pick and take Michael Jordan, or have the 1st pick and take LeBron James. To be honest with you, Like even like I feel like that value, like Michael Jordan at 3, is even more value than like. And I like Jokic is insane, but like honestly, like I don't know. Like I think he's the greatest second rounder ever, but I still think like, I mean, even value wise, Michael Jordan at 3 is a greater value than Nikola Jokic at 41st at this point.
Kawhi, at like
15.
16. Yeah, 15.
Yeah, but like Kawhi, he's played like 500 games in his career. Like I know he's been great, but like he's like a 4-time
believe me, we went all in on the whole Kawhi thing.
He's like
we
a
went
4
all in.
Like it like boggles my mind. Like he's like literally only like a 4-time All-Star, I'm pretty sure. His whole career.
Because he's hurt all the time.
He just pisses me off. I'm done with Kawhi Leonard. I don't even want to watch him.
At least we now know that his injuries are legit, though. It's not like he's like
no, they're legit.
out
it's
here
just
faking.
Like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, I definitely think it's worth the conversation. I think he's, Draymond was definitely up there, but the 2 MVPs. I think 2 MVPs as far as an individual player probably put him above Draymond, even though he doesn't have a championship yet.
I think he's been above Draymond. Yeah, like probably for like since he won 1 MVP. I think 1 MVP puts you above Draymond. I'm sorry. Like I know he's won 4 rings.
Draymond does have a Player of the Year award, though.
He does have a defensive player.
Does he have 2 of them or 1?
I think he's just got 1.
I think he has 1, but he has like 7 first teams or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, Draymond's like a 4-time All-Star, I think.
Yeah.
He's made All-Star teams.
I think Draymond, he's obviously a Hall of Famer. There's like, what about, on the other end of this, does this make Jimmy, let's say the Heat pull this off. Is Jimmy the best late first rounder to ever win a championship?
Well, and that's why I said Jimmy was picked 30th.
Because I'd have to think like,
I'm looking up some best late first round picks NBA.
Yeah, because Kawhi's like still like close to lottery.
That's mid.
Right.
Yeah, that's mid.
Yeah.
Best draft selections after 18. Who?
Hero was like end of lottery. Like,
yeah, he was into lottery. Yeah, Hero was 13. There's been a lot of guys 13.
Shea was like 13. Yeah.
So was Kobe.
Yeah, Kobe was 13. Devin Booker was 13. Shea was 11, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, yeah,
Siakam was 27th. That's a
that's a good
multiple-time All-Star. Tyrese Maxey, like for a young guy, not a like all-timer, but Maxey, that's a pretty good pick at that spot. I'm looking what else. It's just going year by year. Yeah, Serge Ibaka, definitely not. Rondo. Oh, Kyle Lowry was the 24th pick, actually.
That's right. He was.
He's a 6-time All-Star.
And NBA champion.
Yeah, maybe 2-timer after this.
Hey, Dylan Brooks was picked 45th, man.
Oh, Dylan Brooks.
Hey, somebody's going to pay him a decent amount of money. I'm not kidding you. I guarantee it.
What was Malcolm Brogdon picked? Because he won Rookie of the Year.
He was a second rounder. He was a second
rounder.
rounder.
He was a second rounder.
Isaiah Thomas was the last pick of the draft.
Yeah. And I mean, peak-wise, he was arguably a top 10 player for 1 year.
Yeah, he was pretty awesome.
Yeah, and he just had a weird hip thing and just never could.
Look, I've told you guys, there's a difference between Jimmy Butler and playoff Jimmy Butler.
There is.
Oh yeah, no, there's 100% difference.
And I'm even almost willing to say there's a difference between playoff Jimmy Butler and finals Jimmy Butler.
Oh,
just based off of the one finals.
I love that.
I mean, he single-handedly won 2 games.
The game 5
Bam didn't even play.
Was awesome. The game 5 against the Lakers when he's like the infamous meme when he's like bent over.
Dead, yeah.
Yeah, that game's great. When he's going back to the bench and you see him like they're in trouble. Of course, they went out and destroyed game 6. But the only guy to beat the Lakers that year in the Kobe jerseys.
You know what's the wildest thing to me? Jimmy Butler has only averaged more than 23 points 1 time in his career. And this guy in the playoffs averages like 28 every year now. It's like I've never seen anything like this. Like LeBron for so many years like load managed the shit out of like the regular season, like didn't really look like he cared that much. But like LeBron was still averaging like not much less. But like he just like, he lacks a day. Like Jimmy Butler seems like he does not give two shits about the regular season at all.
To further that point,
Because regular season Jimmy's like the 20th best player in the NBA.
yeah,
Seriously.
he's been pretty open about like I don't care about being voted for the All-Star team. Like I want to win a championship.
He was happy this year. I remember he was like, I'm going on vacation.
Yeah. In the playoffs, listen to these wild stats about the Heat. Just to talk about how remarkable this run's been. They, per 100 possessions, they averaged 3.7 points per game more in the playoffs than they did in the regular season. As a team, they shot 34% from three in the regular season. They're shooting 39%. As far as time of possession, they are third at 22.1 minutes a game. And they're the best fourth quarter scoring team in the postseason. Remember the awfulness that we looked at this Heat offense in like February and we were like, oh boy, this is not good to watch at all. And now we're looking at this like, oh yeah, and they're 8-1 when they lead by double digits going into the fourth quarter in these playoffs.
You know what I'm gonna say about this that I think is very true, that matters? The fact that they have multiple guys on like the bench that are washed compared to what they used to be, but they're still future Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
Maybe. And Kevin Love and Kyle Lowry, likely because it's the NBA Hall of Fame. They'll probably both get in. But like, I think that matters. Like that those guys have been there before. Jimmy's been there before. Like these guys know how to win games. Seriously. Like they're
Every
role
time.
players. They got some washed up Hall of Famers as some of their role players. I think that helps. Seriously.
If you look at Kevin Love, he played a lot and started actually early on in the playoffs, but I think that was more of a matchup thing.
He was starting until like 2 games ago.
Yeah, and they didn't put him in. They didn't really want to play him that much against the Celtics because that's probably a matchup nightmare for him.
Yeah.
There's almost like no guy on the floor he can guard. So I get why they didn't play him, but like when he was in the game, he was producing at whatever he needed to do. Like I want to say he shot 9 threes and made 5 of them. His passing ability is second to none to most people at that size. I mean, we've already talked and seen about like how this dude is like could probably be a quarterback with how he throws dimes on the basketball court from 90 feet out. So I'm assuming he's going to get some minutes against Denver. I
am too. By the way, every time Kevin Love has made the playoffs, he's been in the finals.
Yeah. That's just a LeBron stat, though. Seriously. Like, that's all that is. Besides, like, and then Jimmy Butler stat. Like, I did want to say this about Love. Like, they could really use old, fat Kevin Love in this series to guard Jokic. I'm not kidding you.
You're talking about, like, Timberwolf Love?
Yes. Yep. That would be useful in this series. Because Jokic is a little tubby there, and then you throw Love at him. But now Love is fitness model, like jacked Kevin Love. They need old school fat Kevin Love in this series. Seriously.
Send him some pizzas. Send some pizzas to Denver.
Seriously.
Throw in Udonis Haslem.
Yeah. Throw him at Jokic.
Will Jokic's brothers be in the stands for this series?
Probably.
Yeah. Might make it a little bit more interesting.
Do we even need to talk about the whole?
I saw Butler said today that there's no beef anymore.
That's a lie. That's a lie.
I agree. He was like, we don't have issues anymore, and it's like
Markieff Morris isn't on the team. We don't care.
You're Jimmy Butler. Like, come on now. We know how you do things. You're the guy that beat the hell out of the Sixers in a regular season game and then went Tobias Harris over me, which is very true, by the way. But it was very funny.
Tobias Harris, anybody would want on their team if he was making $15 million. Like, seriously, anybody would want him. But for his price, it's just so bad.
So Jimmy as a troll is like maybe one of my all-time favorite villains in the NBA.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I'm with you. How about Jeff Green, by the way? Yet another like time he's on some team that's super awesome, and he's like playing with an MVP. We did a show, Josh, remember a couple years ago, we did a show where we're like, let's do the draft of all-time Shaquille O'Neal teammates. We did the all-time Jeff Green teammates draft in an episode this summer, but we have nothing to talk about. because that dude's teammates, like going from Boston to Seattle to OKC to like everywhere he's been, is like that. We could build some good teams with that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And he's still out there. He's still out there hitting big shots too.
And Duncan, and
Yeah, he's still producing to this day.
I like him a lot. He's one of my
It
favorite.
shows you
role players.
what these older guys can do, man. If you just put them out there in spurts.
Yeah. We're gonna have Kevin Love versus Jeff Green in some matchups in this series.
Former the second and third best player on the 2018 Cavs. I'm not even joking. Seriously, Jeff Green was probably the second best player.
2018 Game 7 against the Celtics. Jeff Green was so good.
Jeff Green was playing 40 minutes a game for that team. Like,
I know.
seriously, he was the second best player because Love was hurt most of that playoffs.
Yeah, and JR, of course. By the way, 5-year anniversary today of the JR mishap.
Yeah, that was one of the saddest moments of my basketball life. Watching that.
Sidebar: Monty Williams just signed a 6-year deal to be the Pistons head coach.
Okay.
Good hire for the Pistons.
Yeah,
I'm shocked he took it, but good hire for the
couldn't
Pistons.
do much better than that for the Pistons for sure.
No, great
Yeah.
hire for the Pistons.
I like it. All right, so let's do this real quick, because we're running a little bit closer in time.
Should we do a prediction?
We're gonna get there. That's how I'm gonna end the
Okay.
show. But I do want to say, we all kind of feel like Denver is definitely the better team here. I think that's a general consensus. We also all three have discussed that we feel like it'd be silly to count the Heat out of this series and just flat out say that Denver's going to run over them. Is it possible? Yeah, absolutely. We've seen what Denver's done this whole playoffs. I mean, they ran through how many Hall of Famers did they beat in this playoffs? You know what I mean? Like, and then they have this series. But like if the Miami Heat are going to win this series, if they are going to pull off the unthinkable, how? What do they have to do to somehow pull 4 wins out of this?
Jimmy Butler has to go Super Saiyan.
I
Like,
agree.
seriously, that's what has to
agree.
happen.
I think the only way you win the series is taking Joker out of the game.
And how do you do that anymore?
I don't know.
You know what I mean? Like, it's so much easier said than done.
That's impossible, but I do think this is possible. And I think if LeBron was a lot younger, they would have succeeded at this. The Lakers kind of found out they can get this guy in foul trouble. They did get him in foul trouble 2 games, and I think the Heat could probably try and do something like that and attack him at the rim because he's prone to kind of pick up some dumb fouls at the rim if you kind of go straight at him and attack him. Because, I mean, he's not a rim protector, and he just doesn't really get vertically. He just kind of hacks. I think that's your better option than take him out offensively. Is just try and get him to pick up some stupid
Yeah,
fouls.
and the problem though was when Joker was in foul trouble, he sat like 6 or 7 minutes, and like the Lakers couldn't take advantage of it.
No, yeah.
And I wonder if the same thing happens. Like if Jokic sits, does Miami have enough offensive firepower to take advantage of him not being on the floor?
There's that. Can Miami play drop coverage at all in this series? Can they do it at all? Like, can you have someone like bounce off of Joker? Like, can Bam back out and go into the paint? Because that's not going to work if you have Jokic at the top of the key. Ooh.
And I know Murray's playing, and I know how great Murray played against the Lakers. But I'm telling you, Michael Porter Jr. is the best shooter on the floor of both teams. And if you give that guy even a remotely open look, he's going to knock it down. And he doesn't shoot the ball as much as say a Murray does. But when that guy gets hot, man, like KCP, like I said, like Denver's got these guys that like if you just leave them, Bruce Brown all of a sudden is knocking threes down.
Awesome.
Yeah, he looks awesome.
On the Nets, he played like center. He played like small ball center and never shot a 3. And all of a sudden, he's 45% clip in the playoffs. Like, yeah,
playing point guard. They got him playing point guard. Out here just dishing the rock and shooting. But that's what I see, man. Like in order, like Jokic to me, I'm gonna say it every time. This to me was the MVP of the season, and he's playing in the playoffs like he was the MVP of the season. And the only way Miami can beat them is you got to completely take him out of the game.
I agree. I want to ask you guys a question, though, about Jamal Murray. Do you think that Lakers series, Jamal Murray is the real Jamal Murray, because I think that Sun series is more like him reality. Like, you'll get like some good, but you're gonna have just a stinker in there every like fourth game. And that's what happened in the Sun series. That's what happened in the Timberwolves series. And the Lakers, this guy just didn't miss. And I think he's gonna cool down just a bit. I'm not saying he's not gonna be really, really good, but I just have a feeling he's not gonna be as hot on the perimeter with his jump shot and everything like that.
No, I was waiting for it. I was waiting for the floor to fall out.
Yeah, because he tends to have a rough shooting game and stuff.
Dude, he was hitting shots that he had no business even shooting.
No,
I mean, he had a shot with Davis in his face, and I'm just like, all right, man. Like,
Yeah,
if you're just gonna hit shots like this, like Lakers have no shot. I can't see him being like that.
I can't either. That's what I'm saying. I could see him being like the Sun series where he has like a game or two like that, but also two stinkers in there too.
And to be honest, I actually thought he was going to win the Magic Johnson MVP trophy until Jokic had that crazy fourth quarter in the last game, and I think that kind of put him over the top at the end. Because I was like, after like game 3, I'm like, man, Murray's about to be MVP of the series and mess around be MVP of the finals the way he's playing right now.
Yeah. It's gonna be really fun. All right, let's do it. I'm gonna go Nuggets in 5. I just think the Heat are gonna be scrappy. I think they're gonna pull one off, specifically when they're playing at their arena. I would love to see Jimmy Butler win a championship. Would absolutely love it. I think he's a Hall of Famer without one, with the career he's growing off for himself, but getting one solidifies him.
It's the Basketball Hall of Fame, Tim. He's a Hall of Famer.
Right. Right. Yeah.
If he specifically gets this one, winning as an 8 seed.
That's first ballot.
8 seed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll say Nuggets in 5, and I think Jokic gets MVP.
I'm gonna go. So it would be. I mean, I want to take the Heat, but I just can't.
I do too. I really
want to take the Heat, but I just like.
I took him to beat the Celtics. I felt good about it.
I'll go.
Why you always beat yourself? You always beat yourself.
I actually was replugging my mic, and then I was adjusting it, and then I unplugged it. But all right, I'll take Nuggets in 7. I'll say the Heat win some games, but I'm gonna say the Nuggets win it at home in 7.
MVP?
I'll go Jokic, obviously. Because I just don't see Jamal Murray playing like that again. I'm gonna be real.
If you've been paying attention to anything in the last 3 weeks, Tim, then you'll see why and where I'm going with this. I am going Heat in 7.
Let's go.
Love it.
He's got balls. I like it.
Love it.
And then I have to pick Jimmy Butler as the MVP.
Not Caleb Martin.
No. What I saw Jimmy do in the finals a few years ago, if he even gives me a portion of that, I think
if he plays like that, they win. If he plays like he did 2 years ago, I think they win. Because the other team had Anthony Davis when Anthony Davis was arguably the best player in the league, and LeBron. Like, they were dominant then. And Jokic, I don't know what it is about Jokic. Like, he has to win a ring to prove to me he's not the Nuggets just aren't a little fraudulent. I don't know what it is. It's just in my head from previous years, they're just a little fraudulent to me. So I hope the Heat win. I'm not the biggest.
So how they've just ran through the playoffs, that's not enough for you?
I mean, you got to win the ring. And then, that's enough. Because if the Heat beat them, I mean, they're a million times more talented than the Heat. But the Heat are it's just Jimmy Butler's going to have to perform big time. And I hope he does. Because I would much rather see him hold up the trophy than Jokic. I'm going to be real.
I would too. But that's the Bulls fan in me that always knew he got jilted and got a raw deal with the Bulls and deserved better than they were giving him. And so I'm stick it to them. Stick it to Garpax, even though they're not in the organization anymore. Just make sure they forever know they messed up. And yeah.
What they trade him for? Markkanen,
Zach LaVine, and Chris Dunn.
I mean, it would be a okay trade with now Markkanen if they had him still.
I know.
It would be a pretty solid trade now. But
trust me, every week when Utah was playing well, we was on here just like, you got to be kidding me right now.
Yeah, what happened? Like,
he was really good like his second year, I remember, and then he just kind of fell off. And then...
oh, he would always have like these huge flashes where it'd be like 2 weeks where he would just be so good. You're like, oh, maybe. Like Patrick Williams is the same thing. There's like a week every year where Patrick Williams is like, oh my God, this is the guy they drafted 4th overall. And then you're like, nope, no, he's not.
Nope, that's not him.
Nope, that's not him. All right, dudes. Well, hey, so content updates that we're going to be doing. So Parker and I, after every game, Josh, you're welcome to join, obviously, are going to do a little bit of a finals recap after every night. So we'll obviously have the first one tomorrow night. Well, if you're listening to this in your car on your way to work, tonight for you to have on Friday morning, recapping game 1. We're going to do that after every game in the finals. Parker and Neil over on At Large Bid have a really, really cool episode for you guys to check out tomorrow. I'm going to be talking with my buddy Ian Stonebrook of the Boardroom. Ian's a good friend of the network. Talking about Under Armour and this continuous loss of programs, of college basketball programs, taking Under Armour off their branding. So some really good episodes there. But we're excited about the finals. It's the last step for the off season before we get into draft time, my favorite time of the year. And I've got a lot of ideas for draft stuff. So I'm really looking forward to that. But hey, on behalf of Parker, on behalf of Josh, I know Sean and Ben weren't with us tonight. We're going to go and wrap this up. Thank you all so much. Enjoy the finals. This is going to be great. It's going to be a really fun series. I'm pulling so hard for the Heat to win. I really want to see Jimmy Butler win a championship. I really do. But thank you guys. Have a good night, and we'll see you for the game 1 recap.
See you guys.
Night.